and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. I am Jennifer and this is my video podcast where I natter on about things I've been knitting on and what's going on in my life. Right now, like everyone else, I'm pretty sure what's going on in my life is that we are in lockdown here in the UK. We are encouraged to stay home, only leave for essentials, and one walk a day, one exercise period a day, which for me is chasing after my children. I have two children, a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. My husband and 2 cats also live with us. And yeah, so my exercise period is following them around the neighborhood on their bike and scooter. And we have everything delivered. We don't drive, so we're having everything delivered right now. So we don't have any essential business leaving the house. So yeah, that's what I do. You may think, wow, that sounds like a wonderful recipe for getting a lot of knitting done. It's not. I do not get a lot of knitting time right now. We are doing schooling at home through the internet for the children. My 3-year-old, who is supposed to be in nursery, just starting nursery, gets a daily assignment, which is things like build a castle or a fort or something out of recyclable materials, whatever you have in your recycle box. That one came up the day after we emptied our recycle box, so we had very few cardboard cartons and plastic tubs. But there was build a world with small figures. They've had do jigsaw puzzles was one day. Paint a rainbow was one day. So they have one assignment a day that's really cute. And my 7-year-old usually has 20 math problems, write a few sentences, read a picture book. On Thursday, she actually had a lot of work, which was she had to do a few other things, but she also had to draw a poster advertising for a shop where everything cost 10p, and then draw out the coins. She had coin math problems to do, and then she also had to do a poster instructing someone how to wash their hands, and she did not want to do anything this week. Last 2 weeks they were on Easter holiday, and she has not wanted to get back into the swing of schooling. So hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be a little more enthusiastic about it next week. But she's been very upset that the 3-year-old has a lot fewer things to do. And I'm like, well, you're in school and she's in nursery. She's just starting nursery. She's not. I'm actually really sad thinking that she might miss nursery entirely, with how long this is currently expected to kind of drag out. So anyway, less concerned about missing out on P2 or P3, but nursery's a lot of fun, and I really liked nursery for my older girl. Anyway, I hope you and your family are safe and healthy. We have a very small extended family, so we don't know anyone who is ill. One of my local knit night knitters has coronavirus symptoms. Last I talked to her, she hadn't had a test confirmed and had to go to hospital, but was released the same day. And that is our closest brush with coronavirus so far. I hope you and yours are, statistically it's not true, but I hope you and yours are as lucky. Although obviously this is still early days. But yes, so we are in lockdown. I am not getting a whole heck of a lot of knitting done. My main thing I was working on last week, which is a periodic finished object in as much as it's my mitered square blanket. Every time I square it off, I'm kind of like, yay, I finished a square off. Although in this case, it's rectangled off because it's now 10 by 11, so I added 10 squares. This one I know is Ripple's Crafts, which was given to me. And then I don't really know who any of these minis are, because my minis are all balled up and mixed together. This is the one I got with someone else's scrap advent calendar that I got off Etsy. And there's some nice ones. This is West Yorkshire Spinner in their, whatever their blue gradient one in the cocktail range is. And then hot pink. So those are the ones I added this week. They go by really quickly because I don't know what any of the yarns are. Having picked this up and gone to work on it again, I felt the need to buy minis again. So I will have minis for this in a little bit. I don't know if you can see, it is quite windy out there. The sunlight is changing a lot. Libby's in here. My cat, one of my cats is in here, but she's sleeping. But if it's too loud outside, it's just that kind of day. And yeah, I do like that it's starting to be green out there again. I love living by the woods, but I grew up in a forest, but it was a redwood forest, so it was green all year round. So I'm not used to naked trees in the winter, though I do love the autumn colors. The next thing I have to talk about again is a half finished object. And I finished one of these. It's just a vanilla sock pattern off the top of my head for my husband. This is 74 stitches. I think that's 17 rows of 1x1 twisted rib. And then I did a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and then a wedge toe. And this is one of the RNLI charity colorways that Helen of Ripples Crafts did earlier this year, or late last year. And it's beautiful, and I had to buy it, but when I started knitting it up, I realized this was really more of a colorway for my husband. So I ripped it out and put more stitches in, and I've knit it for him. I knit the toe once and then realized it wasn't going to be long enough. I was kind of measuring it against a sock I'd already knit for him, and I decided it was about 1 centimeter short. So right before I grafted the toes, I ripped it back, added 1 centimeter, and then did the toe again. So I have finished one, and then just last night I cast on my second sock. So I have started the second sock on that. These are living in a little gray bag, a little gray girl bag. And so I did that. While I was waiting for my husband to try the sock on and tell me how it was fitting, and then eventually I just kind of gave up on that. He has now tried on the sock now that I finished it, and he says it fits really, really well. But while I was waiting, I cast on a sock in West Yorkshire Spinners. I believe this is Rum Punch. It's the rainbow one from, again, the Cocktails range. And I'm doing an asymmetrical wedge toe, which is what I've started doing for myself. But this is my second time doing it. I'd actually gotten like that much further up the sock. And my first one I'd only cast on, it was 10 or 12 stitches. Again, this is just off the top of my head. And then it wound up looking really pointy on one side. So I ripped it back and did, I think this is 20 stitches, 15 or 20 stitches. So I made it a lot wider. So it fits a little more, it looks a little more anatomically like my foot does. My toes go up very straight on one side. There, like the first three are all about the same length, and then it just drops off sharply. So that is kind of what I want my sock to do. So I've just gotten through one full color repeat, and these are so bright and cheerful and colorful. I love these. I'm very looking forward to having these, and this is in just a little bag that I made myself. I really like the way this bag turned out. Ta-da, little bag I made myself. And then my next project, which I meant to talk about last week as an acquisition, this is the yarn for Katie's Cap, which is this year's Shetland Wool Week pattern. Shetland Wool Week has been cancelled. It will not be going on. I don't think anyone is surprised to hear that. Shetland is one of the areas in Scotland that, for population size, has been hit pretty hard. I've made it corrugated rib, this little Piri pattern, and then I'm into a floral one, a little flowers here, about a little over halfway through that one. I have not been working on this a ton. It turns out it is slightly more fiddly than I really have the brain space for right now. You'll notice I've been working socks and mitered squares. Those don't really require any brain power at all. You just knit. So yeah, it's very pretty. I had half a skein of the white, almost a full skein of the white, and I had the blue and the purple in stash. So I ordered 2 skeins of the white so to make sure they'd match, and the pink and the green, which the green isn't even on my shade card. There's a space for it, but they were out of stock when I got my shade card, so I will need to remember to add a little bit of the green to my shade card. Yeah, so this is half out of stash and half from a new acquisition, but I thought this would go really nicely with my spring pink coat, although it's starting to get just warm enough that you don't necessarily need a hat, although it is windy enough today that I don't think we're going to go for a walk. We'll see. It is 3 o'clock right now, which is usually around when we go for a walk, but my children are watching Kiki's delivery service in the other room. They've been playing outside most of today. It is a Saturday, so they didn't have to do any schooling today. They've been on the trampoline, they've been riding their bikes in the garden. We are lucky to have a good-sized garden. They had a squirt gun fight, and then they both came in complaining the other one got them wet and how unpleasant it is to be wet when it's cold. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I told you couldn't play with the hose. So yeah, they've had a big full day of running around, mostly outside, and I think they're just having a little break. We had lunch a little while ago, and then they went outside and ran around again some more, and neither of them like the wind. My 7-year-old Christina had gotten knocked over by the wind back in January, I think it was, January or February. There was a really windy day, and this big gust of wind came and knocked her over while we were walking home. Unfortunately, I was holding her hand, so she didn't go flying, but she got knocked right off her feet. And the little one is terrified something like that might happen to her. So they don't like going out in the wind. They both can be pretty scared of it. So yeah, probably not going for a walk today, but if the wind dies down, we may do. Katie's Cap is in this little bag, which I believe is being sold as a makeup bag. I got it in a charity shop. It was new, but it was in a charity shop. And yeah, it's a very cute little bag. I could love it a little more if it had a handle. Obviously, I am capable of adding a handle if I really want one, but it's got little sheets and it says "Ba," and it's a good size for just a small project. Just gonna scooch that out of the way. That moves us on to acquisitions. The first thing I got since last we spoke, sorry, I heard a door slam and I was just checking to see if my husband was going to come in. He works in an office in the garden. We have a little detached office for him. So this whole lockdown thing, we are not hard hit by it, other than being a bit stir crazy and the usual, once a week you get to have a screaming day. Please have your screaming day by yourself and not in the middle of everyone else. But yeah, other than that, and my 3-year-old is really having trouble with the fact that she still can't pet dogs. Like, it's starting to really be a thing for her. She's getting really upset. She's very gregarious, and we know all of the neighborhood dogs by sight, if not by name, and for the most part we know where they live and when they usually go for walks, and it's really hard for her that when she sees a dog, she's not allowed to pet it, even if the dog wants to be pet. We talk a lot that you can pet dogs if they want to. If you want to pet a dog and the dog wants to be pet, you can pet them with the owner's permission. But doggies who clearly want to be pet, you have to say, I'm sorry, no, we can't do that right now. So anyway, little digression there. My first acquisition was the yarn for the Kate's Kep, and the next one is Cat Knits, and this is by Marina Gilligan, who is Anne Katenberg. I am absolutely going to, that if she ever saw this, or if you speak Gaelic, you're probably just like, the book's falling off my lap. Like, I'm sure that was absolutely the worst. But she does cat knits. She's got a couple of jumpers, some socks, and some various other things. And now she has a book, and it says, if you like it, then you ought to knit a cat on it, which was even what the box on the front said. The cancellation on the postage said, if you like it, then you ought to knit a cat on it. And there's a lot of really cute patterns in here. Some of them are in texture. I don't know if that's the best picture. I did not plan ahead and put markers on it. This one is knitting and purling to make little cat shapes. There's the pullover, a shawl, and a hat with those. This is all in Eden Cottage yarns. One of my children is coming. Sorry about that. My 7-year-old has been gently discouraged from joining the podcast today. We were talking about cat knits. It was mere moments ago for you. And the next section is dainty cats. So there's these tiny little cats and then a lace cat paw motif, and those repeat. There is the cardigan and a cowl. There's a pair of mitts, and then again there is a shawl. And then the section after that, have to keep flipping, big cats. I forgot about big cats. So there is, that is Ms. Gilligan's, one of her cats. But there are these big cats on the sleeves and then on the pocket of this cardigan. They also appear on a hat and a cowl and flip-top mittens. Little capelet. There's some really cute things in here. Here's a bigger look of the cardigan. Obviously you don't have to make the cats different colors if you don't wish. And then and then there are the cool cats, which is this stacked motif. So there's the cropped boxy, and then a cowl. I don't know how you can see that. And a hat. And I think that's, yeah, that, oh, and mittens. There are mittens. So repeating motifs, usually with a couple, 3 different accessories and a garment. I do not see myself knitting them anytime soon, although I do love the hat. But with my cat-obsessed children, I can certainly see knitting things like hats and mittens and cowls with cats on them. And then I got mine as one of the new release kits. I didn't order it as a pre-release. I had suggested it might make a nice Mother's Day present, but it did not get ordered. So I've got the giant tote bag. I had meant to get the project bag, but I clearly clicked the wrong button. But this giant tote bag was actually perfect for putting all of the projects together in one place, so that when I finally had a minute to do my to do the podcast, it was all in one spot. All the things that I had gotten that I knew I was going to want to talk about then I could put the projects I wasn't working on in there. And the next thing I have is some yarn. I ordered, this is the Spring Flowers, Spring Minis from Giddy Yarns. Look at those 5 colors. Very pretty for my blanket. And then I also got a wee box of non-repeatable minis. So these are, gosh, now I'm trying to remember. They're 10 grams. So it's Giddy Yarns. These are 10-gram one-off minis. And my blanket squares are usually about 5 grams. So I could theoretically get 2 squares for each of these and 4 squares for each of these. Or having done a few, I can swap the ones that any of them really. But if I feel I'm not going to use them again. And then I also went to Henny Penny's website, and these are 10-gram minis. I got the pinks. I got the blues. Can you see them all come out here? They do not want to all be shown at the same time. The blues and, oh, don't tell me you fell off my lap. Fell off my lap. Sorry about that. And these green ones. So I feel that these will be a solid addition to my scrap blanket and any future little mini blankets that I do, because I really, really do love this mini blanket. And as you can see, I am clearly not against the occasional super bright kind of neon color. And so yeah, that's my new acquisitions. I did also get a pattern, which you may remember I test knit the the DK Ripple bralette for Jessie May Designs, and I got the regular 4-ply Ripple bralette as a pattern from her, and she finally just released her butt stuff, which is a pair of hot pants that also have that kind of ripple 3x3 rib, I presume. That one just came out yesterday, and I plan on buying it, but I haven't been on Ravelry yet to do that. Because who doesn't need a pair of a coordinating set of loungewear, shorty shorts, and a crop top? I think everybody needs that. That's kind of all I have to say about knitting. I've done a little gardening. We planted some seeds, and I got some pots and some seedlings I'd ordered showed up. So I've got some veg started in pots. I wanted to have a raised bed built, but it wasn't able to be done before the lockdown came in. So I don't know when or even if that will ever happen. But yeah, starting to plant a few things. Daffodils are up, and the tulips are just starting to open, so that's always a fun time of year. My now 7-year-old, when she was 3 and we were walking to nursery and back, decided that, I guess it would be 4, because the spring when she was 4 was when we walked by everybody's gardens, and she was like, I want tulips. So I said, okay. And then in the following autumn, we went and bought a bunch of tulips and put them in the ground, and we've added a few more every year. I don't dig them up and replant them, so if they're hardy enough to make it, they make it, and if they don't, such is gardening, I guess. So yeah, spring is nice. I like having leaves on trees again, especially because everybody's at home right now, so they get their 1 walk a day, and a lot of people in our area walk through the woods. So when there's more leaves on the trees, we won't be able to see them quite as well, and they won't be able to see us quite as well. Yeah. I can hear my 7-year-olds out on the trampoline now. With my cat knit stuff, I also got a wee badge that says, oh, come on, focus. Anyway, it says cat knits, knit cats. Focus. Nah, it's too shiny. And there were a few badges. I'd ordered extra badges and a stitch marker, and my 7-year-old promptly tried to steal all of it, including the tote bag, which I said she could have, and then she never actually walked off with, so I claimed it back 2 days later when it was still sat in the dining room. I said, okay, that's mine again. So yeah, I kind of touched on our life at the beginning, which is that we are in lockdown, and we are lucky enough to have a large garden and a large house. And my husband has an office at home. He's always worked from home. So other than a bit stir crazy, we're doing really well on that front. And we have plenty of food. I was looking today that our produce boxes on the counter are getting a bit low. And we finally used all of our eggs that we got with our first big. There's a local hotel that was doing just frankly enormous boxes of food. Sorry about that. Christina just wanted to come say hi really quick. As I was saying, we've just kind of finished off some of the stuff we got. I think it was the second week of lockdown. We ordered this big produce and everything box from one of the local hotels. And I was thinking, oh, we've just about used it all up. We should probably order a new one. And then I actually audited what we have, and we still have so much food. We've used most of the raw ingredients, but we haven't used up all the leftovers or the pasta or the bread. We got 30 eggs last time, and since then, the other fruit boxes we've ordered. What are you doing, silly girl? The other boxes we've ordered have come with eggs. So I've managed to talk myself out of it. We need to eat down.
Mum, when was the last time you filmed a podcast with me? Was it before I lost this tooth?
No, I think it was because you lost that tooth before we went, while you were still in school, right?
No.
Was it after you weren't in school anymore?
Uh-huh.
Well, it was only a couple weeks ago that I did I think like a week and a half ago, and you had lost both of your 2 front teeth by then.
But was I in that podcast?
Yes, the last time I did a podcast, I'm pretty sure you and your sister crashed the end of it, just like this. Anywho, that's it for us. Do you want to tell them something? Okay, what would you like to say?
And can I say you made poutine?
No, we're not going to do that right now.
I want to say poutine.
You already did a podcast where you showed pushings, and I know you've gotten a couple more since then, but we're certainly not going to do all the pushings. How about next time, if you want, you can bring a couple pushings to talk about, okay?
Or I can make my own one.
Or you can make your own pushing video, that's right. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you and yours are safe and healthy and well, and hopefully we will do this again in a few weeks. Thank you. Bye.